Hey y'all, Jim here with Sunrise Farm. Welcome back to today's video. What you see behind me actually might surprise you what this video is or is not about. If you watched any of my previous videos, you'll be seeing double behind me. Yes, I now have two greenhouses, but that is not today's video. I will show you the two greenhouse setup here probably the video after this, but so stay tuned for that. But what I wanted to show you in today's video and just kind of go over what we're getting here in just a few minutes is a brand new fresh load of organic chicken manure compost. This is supposed to be highly refined compost from a company here in South Carolina where I live, called Humble Acres. And so they're extremely awesome people that I've talked to on the phone many times already in setting this up. Um, we seem to have the same Christian values, so for me, that's a personal plus. But at any rate, you can see this tarp behind me, and I'm going to show you the tarp real quick because this is where I want them to dump what will be basically a semi-load of compost, 20 tons. And then we'll take a look when we get the compost. I'll film that, and we'll take a look at the compost itself a little closer. Um, they actually contacted me yesterday. They said they had a delay because we had a pretty nasty storm a couple of days ago, and with all that rain, it messed them up in trying to put the compost through their sifter, which to my ears was a very good sign that yes, it is going to be nicely sifted. So, and at any rate, let me show you the tarp and talk about where I got it and what it is a minute, because this might be something that's very beneficial to y'all. And then we'll get ready for the compost delivery itself. All right, so what you see here is actually a vinyl billboard. It is a recycled, used vinyl billboard. I got it from a company called billboardvinyls.com. That's billboardvinyls.com. And there's all kind of various sizes to these billboards. This one happens to be a 12 by 48, I believe it was. And it cost me roughly, I think, $85. But excuse me. However, this vinyl billboard is like super thick. It is almost indestructible, as you might can imagine, if it's up on a billboard out in the weather. So obviously it's weather tolerant. It's very thick in its material base. As you can see by the white edging, it is seamed together and stitched on the edging. So there's no chance of fraying or anything like that. If y'all saw my silage tarp video, that's basically a greenhouse plastic with film on it to make it a silage tarp. It's thick. Greenhouse plastic is thick. This is thicker. And so I wanted to lay this down so I could have my compost dumped on it. And the real main reason for that is that when I'm using the compost up and I get to the end of it or whatever the process looks like, I want to be able to basically use every bit of it. I don't want it to get wasted and washed into the ground. I don't want it to get spread and tracked over everywhere if I can help it. I want to use it. It's, compost, especially this coming compost, is a little bit expensive. And so, we don't want to waste too many resources on our farm. So this billboard won't allow anything to grow up through it. It kind of acts the same way as a silage tarp in that aspect. So nothing's going to grow up into my compost and mess up my compost. The compost I'm getting is supposed to be rapidly heat treated, weed free, seed free, all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be well sifted. I think, if memory serves me correctly, to a half-inch sifting. I'm not positive of that. I'd have to look it back up. But still, it's going to be sifted, and that's great news. Plus, like I said, this one happens to be chicken manure. It's a chicken manure base. So this one's going to be a lot more nutrient dense than the previous load of compost I got, which was more a combination of wood chips and food waste. Not that it wasn't good, it was. But I was looking for something better, not only in growing quality, but better in sifting quality, because the first one I got wasn't that well sifted at all. So anyway, that truck will be coming shortly. I'm excited to see it get here and and us start putting this into our garden. It's going to be a lot of work. Even though I've got a tractor, it's still going to be a lot of work. Plus, there's a lot of areas I can't put the tractor in, so it's still going to be a lot of wheelbarrow work. But it's going to be well worth it because here in about 3 weeks, 3 weeks, today is Friday, March 7th. And so in about 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be start planting. Kind of sort of obviously depends on the exact weather forecast at that time, but we'll be starting to plant. And there's some things I can plant regardless of the weather forecast, temperature wise it is. So we've got a lot of work to do in only relatively a short period of time. And yeah, we're just excited. The season is rapidly approaching us down here in the South. My last frost day, the average last frost date, if you will, in my zone, which is 8B, is March 27th. Last year, I was able to plant March 20th, no problem, no chance of frost after that in the forecast. Not sure what this year will hold, but I hope it's about the same because the sooner we can get started, the better off we'll be with the markets we're going to do this year. So stay tuned. Truck's coming next. And just like that, you got some beautiful compost. That stuff is nicely and finely ground, or sifted rather. Well, here you go. Here's what 40 yards or 20 tons chicken manure compost looks like. That is what you call black gold. This, although relatively expensive, I was able to use some last year from my neighbor that lives right behind me that has a cattle farm. He let me have a few buckets of his with my tractor, and it's everything it claims to be. It grew stuff amazingly well. It is refined and sifted and very awesome to work with. Yes, you might can see some clumps in it, but those clumps break up so easily. I mean, anytime you get moisture introduced into compost or pretty much anything, it starts to bind together, but it breaks apart so easily. And it's just an awesome growing medium for our farm. Um, and this is just going to be the first throughout this year, the first of probably about 5 loads, because we've already kind of calculated what we really need to cover our farm the way we want to, and we know that's about 5 loads worth. But at the price point, we have to kind of do one at a time. Plus, it's a lot to use, so I'd rather just use most of it than reorder again. So, um, just a couple of tidbit notes, I guess you would say. First of all, I did mention the 2 greenhouses behind me, and that's a change for any of you that seen my videos. I'll be doing a video upcoming on it soon, and you'll see why we had to go ahead and make that decision rather quickly. And I also owe you a part 2 video. If any of you watched my video where in the front of our house we tore out our bushes and the trees and going to put raised beds. I thought I'd be doing that part 2 relatively quickly, but then it kind of rained, had bad weather for a couple of days, and then my son-in-law called and he needed it on. He asked to borrow it for a job of his on some landscaping work that he does. He's a landscape contractor. So he borrowed it for a few weeks. Anyway, we have that back. I'll also be doing my chicken coop build. You'll see that shortly, as well as some farm updates. And we got some planting obviously coming up the end of this month. So there's just going to be a lot happening on our farm over the next, well, really the next several months, but certainly the next month and a half. We're going to be just super busy. Plus, we're getting ready to start into our farm markets coming up soon. So that'll just put a whole nother thing on to us. But I just want to thank each one of y'all so much for watching this video. Thank you to all my subscribers. And if you happen not to be a subscriber yet, would you consider doing so? Would you consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell notification and sharing the content of this video to help us promote the channel? I'd be thoroughly blessed if you would. All the time that each one of you gives me watching this video is a blessing to me, my family, and the farm. So thank you. If you got any questions or comments about this compost or thoughts thereof, please put them in the comments down below. I love to hear y'all's comments and I love to interact with y'all. I try to respond to all of them. Preferably I can. So thank you again for watching this video. Take care. Have an amazing day in the Lord, and we'll see you real soon. God bless y'all.